Hey guys, welcome back. This is going to be a different and special episode as I kind of rehash some of the history of SimCity Buildit as I have only come back to the game about 2.5 years ago. And prior to that, I took a couple years off and then actually started probably close to 8 years ago. But the game did launch in December of 2014, and there was no regions at that time. It was just the basic city. Uh, the Vu Tower, Dr. Vu, he was around. There was no airport yet. There was the cargo ship dock that was there. It wasn't until probably March of 2015 that the airport was added, with only Tokyo at that time. And that was the beginning of some of the international buildings, the shipments. When May came, they started to introduce the ability to add friends. So you could actually visit other cities, and that's when we were able to go in and trade and do just a little bit more with our cities. June, they actually added the beach. This is June of 2015, and obviously there weren't all of these beach items at the time. It was just very basic. Um, the Sailor's Pier, the waterfront wharf, those were probably the best beach items to add at the time. Um, Yeah, a lot of these other ones just weren't available to us yet. September, they did add on to the airport. Paris was added to the game. November of 2015, London was added, and we finally had our three cities that we could add and do deliveries to and add more to our gameplay. December of 2015, Mountain was added. Prior to that, they hadn't had anything going on up here other than just the visualization here of what this mountain background was. We didn't get a whole lot in 2016, but the biggest addition was the addition of Omega at that time. They added here the ability to come in and purchase some of the items. They gave us the ability to start building Omega residential units in our city. And that was really all that 2016 added to the game was just the Omega homes, the services, and all of the materials that come with Omega. 2017, again, wasn't a whole lot of work done in the game. Club Wars was introduced. That's the first time that Wars was a part of the game. And uh, there wasn't even clubs at that time. It was just I don't even remember a whole lot. I didn't participate or do much with the wars. I never really thought it was a great addition to the game. Even now, I don't really do a whole lot with wars other than just participate enough to get these small rewards that we do get from participating. Um, the war supplies that wasn't part of the game probably until I came back a couple years ago. Um, 2020 is when the first Mayor Pass season actually started with a reward track system. Um, Nothing really happened in 21, 22. There was focusing on farm features were released, including a juice farm, the vineyards, farm life season, and that kind of just came and went, and there wasn't much to do with that. Uh, 2023 obviously is when the railway system came. That's feels rather new to the game, but they're still tweaking with that. Um, but just to backtrack, when I originally left the game probably 4 or 5 years ago, parks, the best thing for a city was still the ultimate mayor statue, which you would need to use throughout your city. Landscape, again, most of the bridges, education. The best thing to use in education was probably the university athletic field if you were looking for a population boost. just because of the area that it did cover. Um, let's see what else we got here. Transportation hasn't really changed. Still use the heliport if you're not using hotspots was the best there. Um, Entertainment, what am I doing? The Sims nightclub was the go-to for the entertainment for the population boost just because of the size. Mountain gambling, I still use most of the time. The luxurious casino was probably your best bet for population boost. Landmarks, a lot of these were available then. However, the Washington Monument has still been the staple for the size. Space was added probably within the last year, and I don't really feel that they put a whole lot of effort or focus into doing anything with space. It was nice. As you see, I was able to add a boost of 1.2 million to my current city, but there's just a lot more to do with that because I'm using a 14 by 16 that's only at 40%. When regions were added, which was probably back around 2020, 21. Um, I I do know they did add all of them at one time, and maybe they only added two, and then they added a couple more later. But the export HQ was never a thing. You would just earn your regional simoleons by building and upgrading your residential units here in the city. And this is probably a bad example. Let me go to my Green Valley because that is completely maxed out. But let's see if I were to want to add a residential unit. Do we have any space? Let me put something into storage. Chicago Tower and add a residential unit up here. And you weren't able to actually upgrade your residential units to epics in your regions back then. The highest population boost that you could put in your city were these residential units that were specific to each region. In this case here, the Green Valley, as you see, if I were to add this, I'm only going to get 57 regional simoleons. I remember maxing out my cities and getting between 180 and maybe even close to 300 regional simoleons per upgrade, and they've nerfed this down pretty far now just to really make the gameplay a little bit longer, I guess, or everybody's going to say because they want you to spend money to do anything in the game. Because back when the regions opened, there were no hotspots that you could use within your region or in your main city. So the only thing that you were buying, like I said previously, was probably going to the parks and looking for, or to the landscape and buying the trees and some of the small items that are specific to the region. And that was all you could really do with your regional simoleons. And now, as you see, they've added the hotspots, which is a great addition, but anybody trying to go through and maximize their cities and use these hotspots need a couple of my regions still need over 1 million points uh, just to be able, like Frosty is my main one. I still need close to 1 million regional simoleons in order to upgrade all of mine to level 10s, but that's not what I wanted to do. But just to kind of get an idea here for why won't this work? Used to be able to go over and see all of my different hotspots that I had, but I guess they got rid of that arrow. Anyways, I have in each one of my quadrants, and I have 6 quadrants. I have two of each specialization, so I have a total of 8 hotspots in each quadrant. So there's 48 total hotspot units in my city that I need to fully upgrade in order to do that. So gameplay is obviously a lot more difficult now than it was before. Um, Trying to think if there's anything else that was just a one-off from back in the day. I know that anybody that had a city at 10 million was was really seen as, the top 0.1% of the game. Obviously, since then, they've probably done two or three land expansions out here on the end, so the cities weren't quite as big back then as they are now. Obviously, everybody wants, add more land, add more land. The biggest thing with adding land is making sure that the phone providers, iOS and Android, the phones that these games are still operational or on, can handle uh, the city size with the CPUs that they have in all of the phones. So it's not necessarily, a matter of them not being able to give us land. It's a matter of waiting for Apple or Android to retire some old phone versions from the gameplay that they allow before they can add more land, just to make sure that the gameplay for those on the oldest devices is still something that's playable. And that's kind of the biggest misconception of wanting EA, SimCity, whoever's running it now, Track 20, to add additional land. So until we start to see some of those older phones devices retired, you won't see any kind of land expansion. I can tell you again, back in the day, building these epics, you only, I think, originally needed 120 to get to gold, and then it went up to 160, and now it's as high as 200 that is needed to complete those. Storage, I think, maxed out at about 800 before I left. Obviously, the material storage was something that was added in the last couple months, so that wasn't even a thing back then. Regional storage, those units didn't exist either. Obviously, this capital city report is new within the last week, so that wasn't anything that we had to deal with in the past. I think that's about as clear of a history timeline that I can give, that I remember progression, coming back to the game after such a long period off and having to start over and rethink my plan as to how can I best lay out my city to be able to get all the multiplayers needed to have the highest population of a city known in the game, which is at about 16,070,000 right now. I'll get back up there once I get these upgrades for my Omega finished, as I'm still waiting on the beta rollout of the service upgrades for everybody so that I can get a better idea of how to tackle my city once I am running the same version as everybody else has to as well. If I think of anything else, I will certainly put it in my daily videos here going forward. If you guys have any questions, be sure to put something down in the comments for me. I'll be sure to reply and do my best to recall the progress. If you've enjoyed this video, please like and share it so I know that you guys are out there and I should still be putting this content together, that you guys are enjoying it. Outside of that, thanks for tuning in today, guys. Hopefully this was helpful, or at least informational or educational to those of you that are fans of the game and just kind of wanted to know how the game has progressed through the years. But outside of that, guys, have yourself a good weekend. Thank you.